Hey guys, this will be the second episode of this series. Hope everyone enjoyed the first one. Covered a little bit of a common theme these days and a common concept. So hopefully someone got some insight if they ever were confused or if they ever needed an explanation about those concepts. Then yeah, hopefully that serves you well. This one came in. This is more post flop play again. I'm doing the first two as post flop play segments because I really think if you want to beat tournaments these days, and if you want to get better, and if you want to find that edge, it is in post-flop play. Everybody knows what to do pre-flop, but post-flop is where the great players are standing out right now. And it's the creativity and the knowledge of how to get paid off, and the knowledge of how to basically minimize your losses and maximize your profits post-flop is what separates good from great players. So I'll go over the first two. Maybe I'll do another one and then one pre-flop situation, but for now it'll just be 2 and 2. So we'll see how it goes. So this hand was it's in a big 11 on Stars. It's a $10 tournament, runs daily. It's one of their big series, I guess you can call it. And what this is basically it's a pre-flop spot that's completely standard. Just raise, get called, and then go to post-flop. And the questions are, basically I was asked if, one, did he spew? Two, is there any way he can continue the hand on the river? And three, is the line appropriate for the situation? So we're going to look at it. I'll run it through first, and then everybody can look at it, and I'll dissect it after that. So, everybody, we have a pretty good stack, 50 blinds. The guy who calls has roughly the same. So check call again, and then check fold the river. Okay, so there's a few things. Pre-flop is fine. I mean, I'd probably raise a little bit less personally, but pre-flop is fine. I mean, it's up to you, but I prefer less, especially in these tournaments. You want to kind of entice people to call more and you want to give them a little bit better price. So also when you steal, you can give people better prices, and it just balances everything out. When this flop comes down and you check, I don't want to say it's disastrous, but it's not the right play because, yes, it's ace, king, jack, rainbow, and if you get called, you're probably not good a lot of the times. But the thing is, you're really betting for information to see where you're at because potentially, if you check to him, red penny can bet a king and bet a jack, and you don't really know where you're at. So if you bet queens here and he calls, you can potentially slow down, or depending on the turn and river, you can potentially get some value out of it. So you're really trying to figure out where you're at right now, and by check calling, you get no information whatsoever. I don't expect to get bluffed a lot on this board, but you don't exactly know what he has. He can have 9-10 for just a gut shot and decide to bet it. You can have, pretty much all the hands he's going to have are either like gut shots or a pair and a draw, so like king queen or king 10 or jack 10, queen jack, stuff like that. But the thing is now, when you check call, you basically have a good hand and you're representing a big hand. And a note in here was he was trying to rep a bigger ace and trying to get him to slow down and take it by the river. That's okay, but what's going to happen is people are just going to call you down when you take this line, because realistically, if he has a king or a jack, he might fold a jack by the river, but like a king, I don't think he's ever going to fold by the river by taking this line. An ace, if he has an ace 2, he's never going to believe you. Like, even if he has like ace 10 or ace 9 or something like that, he's never going to believe you. So really, by you giving up the aggression in this hand, you really just give up the hand right away. So if you're going to check here, it's just check fold, and that's read based. And the reads on this guy, by the way, are just standard $11 player, so there's nothing too special about him. So I wouldn't ever expect to get bluffed on this board, for one. I would never expect to, check call 3 streets and end up with the best hand, too. But we do check call. And now he bets 1,800 and 2,500, and it's a check call. This is where the problem comes in. Once you give up the betting initiative, this is also what happens, too. You gain relatively no information from 1,800 because you don't know exactly what he's betting. He could be betting a lot, but again, I'm going to say that a lot on this board has some type of connection to the board, so whether it be a gut shot, bottom pair, middle pair, whatever. But it has some type of connection, so he has some type of hand. Like, I don't see him just betting 1800 with like sevens or like 7-8 suited. So he has some type of connection to this board, but he's betting 1800 now. Go back. If we were to just bet ourselves like 1100, 1200, you find out more information from a cheaper bet on our part by taking the initiative. So realistically, you're going to end up losing more chips in this hand than you would by taking this line. So what that does is, for one, people are never like, unless he raises here, like, which I don't see that happening. Like, this pot is going to be pot controlled by us, not by him. And that is exactly what we want to do in this situation. Second, you get a lot more information, so you can play your streets accordingly. And, you know, if you hit a queen or a 10 on the river, you could potentially value bet more or make some kind of play or whatever at it. So you basically know where you're at. You know where you're at more, and you know what to do more. You know if you can make a hero call, if you have to value bet, you know what to do. So that's what it comes down to. And also the pot by the river won't be so inflated where you don't really have any wiggle room. Like, you don't have to stick your whole stack in by the river, which is basically what happens here. So, I mean, check call 1800. Now the second question was, how did I play the turn? Well, the turn is, I think you have to give up this hand. I know it's 1800, but if you're going to check call one and then he's going to fire out this, third of a pot bet, you're never going to be good here, I don't think. Even if he had, Jack 10, all of a sudden he has trip jacks. If he has a king, he's beating you. Ace beating you. Like, everything pretty much is beating you right now, and I don't expect, once you check call, to try to get, like, I don't think he's just going to try to bluff you. So you're pretty much done with this hand, I would think. I know it's a very cheap price, and queens are very hard to give up when it's this kind of board, but it's just, you have to give it up, because by the river the pot's now inflated. You have a pot size bet, and so does he, and you just can't do it. You can't call it off. So really, you're just giving him an extra 1800 chips when you shouldn't be, and it's just much better to bet this flop. You avoid so many mistakes that can potentially happen, and so many times people level themselves and like, oh, he's just bluffing, or oh, this and that, and really it's just not happening. On this type of board, ace, king, jack, rainbow, I don't expect an average $10 player to triple barrel 8 high as a bluff here. Like, I just don't expect that to happen, and some people can make an argument, oh, I'm just pot controlling. Well, that's true. If you're pot controlling, then you should pretty much give up the river. So really, or we give up the turn, I should say. So really, this hand, you just got to take the initiative. If he plays back at you at any point, you just give it up, move on to the next hand. There's nothing really else much to say about that, but it's a common mistake, and it's a mistake that a lot of people make. And a lot of people will check call a king on this turn or on this flop, and that is actually substantially a lot better. Like, if you have king, queen on this hand, that is so much better than having queens, because you actually do have second pair. You have much better showdown value than with queens, because like with queens on this flop, king beating you, ace beating you, a lot of stuff, a lot more hands are beating you than you have, like, if you just had king, queen. So to check call this flop, if it was like king, jack, 4 or something, yeah, check calling could be fine. You have second pair, you have showdown value, and all that good stuff. But on this type of board, I just don't expect people to be bluffing. I don't expect people to be barreling light. I just don't I pretty much expect people to play their hands straight up, and you basically are just giving away chips by playing queens like this. Just take the initiative, bet smaller, you keep the pot in your favor, in your control, and you can get away with a lot more things, and you can potentially take pots away that way. And when you're the aggressor, it's much better to be the aggressor than to not. So just keep that in mind for when these spots come up. And yeah, so hopefully you learned a little bit there. If anybody has any more questions about these types of hands, feel free to ask me. I've had a few questions from some people, but if you have any questions, want to go more in depth on why I came up with these concepts, or why I came up with these lines or thinking or anything like that, then let me know. I'm open to discussion about any type of hand, really. So let me know. All right.